New Yorkers and visitors can see it skewing the city's profile from the sky or along the Hudson River. Over the past half a decade, it has emerged out of thin air, hovering over a dozen grit-covered acres of active train tracks on the west side. This massive development is the largest private mixed-use real estate project in American history. It is the Hudson Yard. Welcome back to our channel, Build to Innovate. Before heading on to the video, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you may never miss any of our updates. Hudson Yards, a brief history. The Hudson Yards development is among New York City's most intricate building endeavors. Throughout the city's 400-year history, the land that is now being developed into this massive mixed-use complex has had several purposes, such as a military stronghold, rail yards, and an offloading location for slaughterhouses. The development at Hudson Yards sits atop a custom-made platform that extends out over an active rail yard. The region around the rail yard had been the subject of proposed and abandoned ideas for redevelopment for decades prior to the project's completion. A brand new Olympic Stadium was proposed in the early 2000s designs for the rail yard. The city rezoned the land in anticipation of hosting the 2012 Olympics, but both the stadium and the Olympic proposal plunged through. Nevertheless, the plan to develop the area into a new neighborhood persisted. The Metropolitan Transportation Authority proposed a mixed-use development on platforms above the rail yard in 2005. The rail yard would continue to function normally throughout the construction and eventual use of the development. The idea drew interest from several private developers, but the New York City Council ultimately settled on the master plan submitted by affiliated companies and Oxford Properties Group. It described an area that featured office buildings, high-end retail, restaurants, parks, and cultural institutions. The project's creators estimated that once completed, it would add about $1.9 billion to New York City's GDP per year. Two phases of the Hudson Yards development. The development of Hudson Yards occurred in two distinct phases. A total of 8 structures made up the first 2 construction phases in Eastern Yard. Phase 1's grand opening event took place in 2019. There is 1.8 million square feet of residential units in the Eastern Yard, with apartments in the high-end towers retailing for millions of dollars. New Yorkers in need of low-cost housing have the opportunity to enter a lottery for one of 100 subsidized apartments in the city in 2018. Western Yard development is the next stage. It is challenging to construct a new community on top of a busy rail yard. In addition to developing a new neighborhood on the property, you are also constructing the land itself. The Western Rail Yard will be built on a 10-acre structure similar to the one that was constructed over the Eastern Rail Yard. Notable Hudson Yard structures. 10 Hudson Yards, near the first phase's southeast corner, was the development's pioneering structure. It's a brand new office complex that opened in 2016. The likes of L'Oreal, Tapestry, SAP, Intercept Pharmaceuticals, and the Boston Consulting Group all have local representation here. The 30 Hudson Yards building is an extremely tall skyscraper. It features an observation platform known as the Edge. It's the highest triangular observation deck in the Western Hemisphere, perched atop a skyscraper 100 stories above ground. It has glass floors that make you feel like you're flying in the sky and provide a panoramic view in every direction. The following structure is Tower D at 15 Hudson Yards. It's a residential high-rise with a built-in cultural center called The Shed. The Shed finally debuted in 2019 after being planned for over a decade. Various events from the worlds of the performing arts, visual arts, and popular culture are showcased. If a larger performance is required, the building's 120-foot telescoping shell can be extended from the main structure. Tower E at 35 Hudson Yards is another mixed-use skyscraper in the neighborhood that's reminiscent of the neighboring 15 Hudson Yards. Some of the most luxurious and pricey condos in New York can be found here. The first phase also includes a 1 million square foot mall with 100 stores and 20 restaurants spread across 7 stories. Hudson Yards has also spent considerably in outdoor space and leisure, considering it's in the midst of New York City. The Plaza is a 6 6-acre public area intended for international exhibitions and performances. The section serves as a ventilation slit for the yard's western side. The amazing pinnacle of Hudson Yards, the vessel, is located within the plaza. There are 154 stairwells in this artistic edifice, with over 2,500 steps and 80 landings. Amazing vistas of the city, river, and beyond may be seen from the top of this vertical ascent. After multiple suicides occurred near this landmark, it has become the subject of intense debate. Therefore, due to safety concerns, this structure has been closed indefinitely. Even while Hudson Yards is a modern New York City monument in terms of engineering and architecture, the true success of any new development is determined by the effect it has on the lives of the locals. The big picture: Hudson Yards. It's debatable whether or not a project like Hudson Yards addresses people's genuine societal needs. It's no mystery that this enormous construction is catered to the wealthiest of folks in America. People have complained about the rising costs, particularly regarding office units and the cost per square foot. There is no financial incentive for businesses to settle here because the costs are far higher than the going rates in Midtown and downtown. Even after the epidemic has ended, Hudson Yards has not returned to its pre-pandemic bustling self. It's not a completely deserted area, but its lack of activity raises some eyebrows. Was it reasonable to spend $25 billion on this? Given that Hudson Yards is only approximately halfway built and has not been an easy job, there is still a great deal of work to be done. If all goes well with Phase 2, the neighborhood will be more functional and welcoming, considering the needs of its residents. Do you have any comments on this multi-billion-dollar endeavor? Be sure to tell us your thoughts in the section below. Until next time, take care.